What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. I am your host, Lore Reloaded, here to have some fun with you. Kind of a different video today. Generally, this is about sci-fi, lore, Trek, if you're watching. But for today, I'm going to go over something that comes up 3 or 4 times a day, which is, what did I do to get as successful on YouTube as I have? It's a question that I get at least 4 to 5 times a week now, so I thought I'd do a video. I'm not sure if anybody's actually going to watch, but here we are. If you're watching video on demand, you know how it goes. I'm going to wait for people to come in. Of course, check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded. Definitively go there. More and more people coming, so I'm doing more and more on Twitter. And as always, if you want to help out the show, become a sponsor, super chat, or patreon.com/lore reloaded. I will be telling who won the contest for both the Galaxy class and the Sovereign class tomorrow. So stay tuned on the channel. Saying hi to some people. Johnny Doe in the house, 14K Leon, Captain Joey, Trek001, telling Vietnam hello. D. Newton, what is going on? Darion, the Chow, don't know what that means, but the Chow back at you, buddy. So, are you doing more and more on YouTube too? I don't know what that means. You're going to have to rephrase that, but let's just get into it. Kapla, Bird of Prey, got Melinda, Joshua Daniel. All right, so again, this is just going to be me talking about my opinions on YouTube, what you can do if you're a YouTuber yourself. And if you have any questions, definitely ask me. Something else coming up before we get completely into it, I will actually be doing a kind of a call-in show for the Geek Breakdown and possibly Lore in the Past. So you guys are going to get a chance to come and just chat with me while I'm doing a show. We're going to see how it goes. All right, so, and this is in no order. I just kind of wrote stuff down. But when it comes to YouTube and doing YouTube itself, the first thing that I would tell people is not to necessarily trust the hype. What do I mean by that? With the demonetization thing, because a lot of people ask me about demonetization too, which actually didn't hurt me as much as anything CBS or anything have done. But a lot of YouTubers have yelled and complained and talked about how demonetization was the end of an era, how it completely and utterly destroyed YouTube. One big YouTuber, whose name I'm not going to give out, interestingly enough, use this to try to trick people into giving them money and to get more YouTubers, more subscribers. And what effectively happened is this YouTuber had started another channel with a couple of other people, and it had went really well. It made their YouTube channel and the one they created done really, really well, made them a lot of money. And they made some decisions that ultimately sank that other YouTube channel. And then they started using subscribers in just droves. Just absolutely started losing it. And all of a sudden, the demonetization, YouTube screwing over YouTubers was a big deal to them after they started losing hundreds of subscribers. So when you're looking at this stuff, honestly, I would suggest doing your own research and listening to people who have done this for quite a while and who don't generally fall on bandwagons. That means generally established bigger channels, not smaller YouTubers, because I do believe that a lot of the small YouTubers will listen to the big YouTubers like the person I was talking about, and don't really understand what they're saying. Now, I would suggest you guys listen to whoever you want. I suggest you find someone who seems rational, who gives both sides of the story. For me, I like listening to DeFranco, Quentin Reviews, though there are some things on Quentin Reviews I disagree with, and Chris Raygun, especially when it comes to the demonetization. I think that they have given some fair opinions on it, and I agree with some things they say, and I don't agree with other things they say. The three of them have done how to become quote-unquote bigger YouTubers, how to do YouTube. I've listed the videos in the description. For me, again, I don't agree with everything that's in all of the videos, but I think that is who I think they give some great ideas and some great opinions. But again, and if you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. You can say it in the chat, and I will try to answer it if I can. And if this doesn't interest you, hey, I get it. This isn't sci-fi. This isn't Trek. But this is my opinions on what you should do. And this is the video I'm going to send people to for now and ever when they ask me what do they need to do to get a successful YouTube channel. If you guys want to know, I kind of want to give you my back history too. And let me ask you this. If you want to be a YouTuber, being a YouTuber, in my opinion, is like being a starving artist, in my opinion. And Jay Wig says, is there another channel maybe supported by Bing we could watch instead? I don't know what that means, buddy. All right, so being a YouTuber is kind of like being a starving artist. I sincerely believe that. My story is that I've done YouTube for 10 years. I started YouTube when a user by the name of Happy Cabby, before he became creepy, did an April Fool's joke, and I believed him, and I went and one second. I don't need it. I had watched YouTube for a while. He did an April Fool's joke, tricked me. I went and I bought a camera and I bought a microphone, and I did a video response. And from then on, I have been doing YouTube. I started off as a kind of a vlogger, more actually religious Christian, very fundamentalist Christian. Just from there, started doing stuff. For most of that time, I was more on the Christian angle when the Great Debate was a big deal. Slowly moved into politics. Then I completely scrapped that idea. Went and did gaming for a long time. And then did a channel, which I've posted some videos from, where I did reviews of shows and things like that. And then I started The Lore Reloaded. I don't want this to be a downer, but I want you to seriously think and consider this. Would you do YouTube if for 9 years you struggled and struggled, didn't know what you were doing, put in more hours than you could ever think of for 9 years, switching between channels, always questioning what you would do, for the possibility on year 10 for it to work out and become quote unquote successful, or do it for a living? And on year 10, there's no guarantee. But would you still do that? If you can answer yes, then I think that you should go for it. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take 10 years. I'm not saying it's going to take 1 year. I'm not saying you're going to be able to do it in 10 years. What I'm saying is that if you want this as a job, then you definitively have to have the heart of an artist. Now, if you don't want that and you just want to do YouTube and you want to have fun with it or do whatever you want, hey, go for it. I love some channels that really just do it because they want to do it as just a fling. But if you want to do it as a career, and once you get there, you are not going to be or make as much money as you can doing anything else. I do this as a passion. I do this as a career, but I could go into the corporate world and make so much more money. But I love doing this, and I love entertaining you guys. Travis Frazier says, hey, I love getting seriously baked and watching your lore videos. You got me back into Trek. Travis, I am here for you. I am glad that both you can get baked and that you can watch my videos. Yo, you still want Star Trek Legacy? I do legally, Admiral Saval. I do. So here's a good one. Jay Wiggs, someone should create a new video sharing platform that gives more profit to channel creators that generate income. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but people don't understand on YouTube's side, this is incredibly expensive. YouTube makes no real money when it comes to... Google makes no real money on YouTube. And I haven't found one that really does well, that does what YouTube can do, and makes money. I don't know that it's sustainable in that way. Now, Google gets more from YouTube than actually what it makes it, and that's why they keep YouTube around. But to have a video sharing platform that makes money, I don't know that they can do it, which is why you have the sharing that you do. So, continuing on, and again, if you guys have questions, definitely let me know. I'll answer them as I go. If you want to do this, my honest-to-God suggestion would be to treat it like treat it like a job. I would sincerely treat it like a job, but I will caveat that you should still have a life. If you can put 10 hours to 20 hours a week into YouTube, then I would suggest doing it. The big E31 is exhausted. See you, man. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so if you can put 10 to 20 hours in, I would suggest doing it. Now, don't do it at the expense of your family. Don't do it at the expense of your friends, especially if you're not making any money off of it. For me, I do 40 to 60 hours a week in order to keep it coming, in order to continue with it. Admiral Saval, send me an email at james@lorereloaded.com and we can discuss it, just to get that off the table. If you don't mind me asking, what would you do if you weren't doing this? I would probably go back. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I enjoy doing that, or was a stay-at-home dad. Still am. I'd continue that until I got into school, probably going back into the corporate world if I wasn't doing this. But this is what I absolutely love, so this is why I do it. When you're creating a channel, the other thing I would suggest that's very important is the naming convention. Quentin Reviews talks about this, and it is extremely important, in my opinion. So, for instance, if you're going to have a channel, consider how people are going to treat that channel, because it is basically your new name. Quentin Reviews says that. So, if you wanted to, for instance, the Lore Reloaded channel. I came up with this channel because I wanted to do stuff on lore. I wanted to have kind of my own shtick. So I wanted to review stuff in sci-fi. But there's tons of sci-fi review channels, and I'd be going up against like the Nostalgia Critic and things like that. So what else do I do? Well, I really love the lore. So instead of doing reviews, I'm going to focus on the lore of things. But I can't just have a lore channel. First off, a lore channel already exists, and I need to find a way to kind of give the idea of what the channel's about. And so I was watching Bible Reloaded at the time, which was interesting. I watch a ton of channels. When I watch something, don't take it into account. I don't like getting into what I believe or what I don't believe. So I'm going to name some channels. Don't necessarily do what I'm saying. Don't necessarily... Just because I watch a channel doesn't mean I believe it. Doesn't mean I don't believe it. I was watching Bible Reloaded, and then I got to thinking about it. While I'm giving back lore, I'm going to be doing what-if stuff, so Lore Reloaded. That's where the name came from. So if you're going to have a channel, then make it so that people will get it. But I would honestly suggest keeping it kind of vague. And let me give you... So let's say that you wanted to start a Star Trek channel, that you wanted to do similar to my idea, that you wanted to completely and 100% steal my idea. Which, by the way, everything's derivative. I didn't originally come up with this idea. Other people have done it. I would suggest not doing Trek Reloaded. I wouldn't suggest everything Trek. I wouldn't suggest names like that, because you're kind of boxing yourself in. I love doing Trek. It's my lane. That's what I'm known for. I'm going to do other stuff, but people know me for Trek, and I'm going to continue to do that. But I would not rename my channel, and I would not make a channel that was specifically Trek Reloaded. Because ultimately, there's only so much information in Trek. It would take me years upon years. It would take me a decade to get through all of it. But there would come a time when I would get through all of it. And I think that 6 years of just doing Trek would get very old, and I don't want to lose my passion. So I want to give myself the ability to do other things. And I don't want to create a channel that's a lie. Lore Reloaded is not a lie. I'll continue to do Trek, don't get me wrong. But if I did other stuff, it's the Lore Reloaded. So it's not just that. A couple of questions. If Disney takes over the Star Trek franchise, man, I'd be the happiest thing if Disney took over Star Trek. They are so much better than CBS and Paramount. God, I wish they would take it over. At Lore Reloaded. What was the first lore video you ever did? First Lore Reloaded I ever did was... ironically, it was a history piece. I think it's still there. I might have deleted it. It was one of two, actually. It was either a history piece where I broke down what had happened if the South had ever taken Washington, D.C., or it was a World of Warcraft channel where I discuss what would have happened if the prince hadn't accepted. Man, it's been a long time since I did that. It was World of Warcraft. It was the first. It was the World of Warcraft 3, I think. And I had talked about what would happen if the plague and all of that hadn't occurred. It was so long ago. Do you or did you do anything besides Trek lore? Yes, I do, and I did. So the other thing is, so coming back to the naming convention and what you do, definitely stay in your lane somewhat, but always try to advance, because what people watch always changes, and what people want will always change. So always adapt, but know what people come here for. People come to the Lore Reloaded for Star Trek. Now, I have some videos that do really well that aren't Star Trek, but people come here for Star Trek. So this is a Star Trek channel. And I just need to and have to accept that. By the way, you guys are going to hear Facebook updates. I apologize for that. My phone's broken, and someone may need me. So if you hear a Facebook update, it's probably on my side. However, just because I'm a Trek channel doesn't mean I'm not going to expand and not going to continue, and it doesn't mean in 10 years I won't be doing something else. So, for instance, you're going to see Battlestar Galactica more. You're going to see Stargate more. You're going to see all kinds, The Expanse. I'm going to do all kinds of different stuff, and the channel will continue to grow based on what the audience wants. If videos like Battlestar Galactica or Stargate matched the videos that you saw on Trek, then you would start seeing more videos with Trek, more videos with Stargate, and then a small amount that were lore videos. The lore breakdowns I do will continue to evolve. Starship lore started not because it was an idea that I had, but because people continued to ask me for it. So always be willing to advance and change what you're willing to do and modify and try new stuff all the time. Like this. This is me trying something new. This is me going off the cuff, not doing just Trek. Or not doing just sci-fi. A couple of questions. What do you see long-term for this channel? It depends on what you mean. This channel, I have a couple of goals, and I'm happy to share it if you want me to share the goals. I don't necessarily do because I don't want to... I don't know. I don't want to be conceited, but I'm happy to share them if you want me to, so let me know if you'd like me to. But long-term for it, I want to be a lore channel. I want to do everything Trek. I want to do everything Stargate. I want to do everything Battlestar Galactica. I'm happy being a Trek channel. If that's my name to fame or whatever, then I will do that, and I will do it happily. But I would love for the lore channel, love for it to be a lore channel. And once I hit a specific goal here, I intend to expand into other channels. I'm not doing that for a long, long time, so don't get concerned. But I would love to expand to a couple of different channels, kind of staying in this lane. They'd be lore channels, but they wouldn't be sci-fi. Would you recommend doing videos on lore that you do, or would you recommend doing videos on lore that you do, or expand outwards as you go on? If you haven't started yet, I would suggest trying different things and seeing what you enjoy and what people respond to. So I would suggest, again, doing it the way I do it. Try to do it some other way. When I see other channels that have basically stolen my shtick, that as long as they're not doing it exactly and using like almost the exact same stuff, but if they've stolen my shtick, I actually like that. I enjoy it. I think everyone's idea should be taken, formed, and created new ideas. I don't look at YouTube as some form of, oh, these are all my subscribers, and I'm going to keep my subscribers, I'm going to put other channels down. I don't look at it as a pie, and there's only so much pie people can get. I look at it as almost an infinite amount that we can reach at. Trek Yards and my channel have overlap, but I don't think that Trek Yards steals my stuff if I see them do a video similar to mine that just came out. Now, it's by coincidence. I don't think Trek Yards is doing that. But if I did something on Defiant, and 2 days later, and this actually happened, I did something on Defiant, 2 days later, Trek Yards did something on Defiant, I don't think they're stealing my idea. I think there's overlap. I think you can get something from both of them. I don't think you should be jealous or concerned or upset about any channel that is derivative of your channel. I think that as long as it's derivative, not stealing exactly what you do. And again, I think there's enough, and I'd be more than happy to help people if I can when it comes to that. Would you let the fame and money go to your head and end up like Logan Paul? That is... No, my wife would not allow that in the slightest. I tell you, my biggest fear is... No, I'm not going to say it. There are YouTubers that I have looked up to that have gone far off the deep end and are complete hypocrites, which I hate. And I actually look at them and continue to watch some of their videos to keep myself in check. I will be honest, my channel is incredibly small. I know 17,000 seems like a lot. It's not. I have had a couple of points where I'm working with vendors or other people, and they don't understand what I do and how it goes into it and how much work it is. And I have gotten kind of uppity to myself. I haven't ever did it to them, but I have gotten uppity to myself, and I had to check myself because ultimately I'm an entertainer, and there's no reason for me to act like that. And I just continue to watch channels that have, in my opinion, fallen to keep myself in check. I think a separate social media video platform would make extreme profit that competes with YouTube by sharing more with channel owners, attracting ads like FB Made, MySpace, Vanish. I don't think so. I just don't think it's profitable. If you look at what happened with VidMe or other competitors, I just don't think it is. I don't think we'll ever lose YouTube because Google doesn't necessarily want to make money off of YouTube. They use YouTube for other means. And when you're competing with that, when you're competing with a Goliath like Google, it's really hard to compete, especially when they're not trying to make money and you are. So I think YouTube is the one that brought us. I think YouTube is where it's at. I'm not against other other platforms. I just don't think it's possible. Since you watching, I'm not necessarily going to get into sci-fi just yet. Probably towards the end I will. Quality, when it comes to quality, this is one that's big. There was someone, I'm going to butcher this, but someone once said this to me, and I always keep it in my mind. If you have good video with no audio, then you have basically CCTV. You're basically watching, security footage. If you have good audio without video, then you're listening to radio. Which one is more important to you? Which one would you prefer if you couldn't have both? Audio is key. There are some of my early Star Trek stuff I cringe, and I'm going to be redoing. One, because CBS is stealing the money from me, but two, the audio is so bad. It is just horrific. I don't even like the audio on these live streams. Audio is definitely key, and then worry about your video. And when you're starting out new, don't worry about competing with channels that do this for a living. I am at the point that I now am starting to look at Space Dock, but when I first started, I didn't worry about how good Space Dock looked. I didn't worry about competing with them. I looked at them as an aspiration. Now I'm looking at competing with them. Now, again, competing being relative, I'm really more competing with myself. I just want to get their quality. But when I first started, when I was at 150 subscribers, I wasn't worried about buying all of this stuff so that I would be a Space Dock clone. And that's what you really need to do. And there was a couple questions. It keeps coming up. How do you feel about the changing rules of YouTube, like saying certain content is negative, like political or social videos? So here's my thing, and this kind of goes with staying in your lane, but knowing how to monetize, how to work with stuff. So I don't intend for YouTube to always pay my bills. One of the goals for this channel is to become self-sufficient so that if YouTube ever went away, I would be okay. I want to create a website, and I'm doing it right now, lorereloaded.com. You can go take a look at it because of the patrons. Thank you so much. And I want to create sources that you guys can go to and never have to touch YouTube. I'm not there yet, and I won't be there for a very long time. I want YouTube to be a distribution. I want YouTube to send my stuff out, but if YouTube went away in a year, I want to be in a state that you guys would still be able to see me and I could still survive. The reason I'm saying that is because if you are, if you're going to do political things, if it's considered negative, create a YouTube channel that just gets your vision out, but doesn't rely on YouTube to pay you for it. Now, if I was going to do a political channel now, this type of stuff that I talked about would definitively not fall under YouTube's stance, YouTube's terms. I would be very surprised if anything got monetized. So I would work on things like pushing for a patron. I'd work on Patreon. I would work on sending out merchandise. I would work on getting people to my website. I would work on becoming a person who would do advertisers. I personally don't accept money from advertisers, but if I did a political channel, I might. My money would not come from YouTube. I would never rely on YouTube. I would rely on other sources. So that would be really my opinion on YouTube choosing to monetize or demonetize other stuff. This is going to be I know it's a hashtag unpopular opinion, but YouTube can do whatever they want. And if they don't want to monetize certain things, but monetize other things, that's their prerogative as an independent and private business. I don't necessarily agree with it, and I think they should just be honest about it. But if it's what they want to do, it's what they want to do. There was a good... At what point did you realize you were going to make this your full-time job? Milestone, view count, subscribers, numbers, etc. There isn't... Every YouTuber's progress, how they came to do this full-time is different. Again, Chris Reagan, DeFranco, Quentin Reviews, I don't know if iDubbbz is, but whoever you watch, Bible Reloaded, every journey is different. For me personally, it was when, probably at the 10,000 subscriber mark, I finally started doing it where I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I do it full time, but again, that kind of goes back. I do it full time for someone that if I didn't have... It takes a while, and you can't always rely on it. You have to be able to do other things, secondary jobs. Chris Reagan even admits that sometimes he has to do other things for other people and get paid for it so that he can eat at the table. That's Chris Reagan. That's 400,000 subscribers. So it's constantly, again, it's very, very much starving artist mentality in order to do this, in my opinion. Where do you get a lot of your info from the internet? It seems so mixed up on info on a lot of things, too hard to really find the true facts. If that's more towards, you mean Lore Reloaded when I put up the stuff, there are a couple of sources that I use. So I rely on Alpha Canon specifically. If I can, I want to see it in Alpha Canon. That means on the screen. If I can watch it happen on the screen, then I'm happy. But that is a lot of information. So I do use secondary sources like Memory Alpha, X Astris Scientia. I use Trek Yards. I use Space Doc. I'll go see what they did. I'll go see what they said. I will then try to confirm it on my own. I don't always rely on them. I like the way that Memory Alpha kind of does their information. So if you look at my videos, you'll see my breakdowns are sometimes similar to the points you brought on Memory Alpha, because I just like how they've done it and how it flows. Now, not all of it. Some of their stuff does not flow at all, in my opinion, and I rewrite it to flow. But yeah, so when it comes to that, I just I try to watch it online, but I use secondary sources. I don't consider Memory Alpha to be canon or a primary source. Trek Yards isn't either. My channel isn't. If you want Alpha Canon, do not rely on my channel. Now, you can come to my channel for information, to get ideas, and then go look for yourself. That would be my opinion on that. I watch and have watched a lot of people do YouTube and YouTube gurus, quote unquote. So I've watched like Brian G. Johnson, who I think everybody should watch. I've watched video creators. I have looked at what Social Blade has done. I even got Social Blade Consulting. The interesting thing is everything they tell you, or if you even buy their services, you can get for absolutely free from Creator Academy. What these other sources bring is knowledge and experience. And that may be worth the price. I really enjoy Social Blade Consulting. But they never told me, and I'm not paid by them, this is an advertisement, this is just me talking. They told me things that I already knew. They just kind of gave me ways of doing it. Jeremy Charles, thanks for coming, brother. Really appreciate it. I will probably have a Lore in the Morn tomorrow, so I'll see you at a better time. Thanks for coming on. Travis Frazier up in the house with $5. Any chance on you doing any more lore videos in Andromeda? Absolutely. It's going to be a part of the community tab. You can go vote on it there for things that aren't Trek. I'll probably do it outside of that too. I'm rewatching the series. I watched a lot of the first couple seasons. Last season I heard sucks. So I'm going to have to watch it to see. So, let me tell you how I got what my big break was. And this is the way YouTube honestly works. And this is one of the big points on it, in my opinion. So, I was doing a lore channel. And if you watched me when I was at 200 subscribers, then you would have seen, like on Mondays, it would have been Trek. On Tuesdays would have been Star Wars Rebels. On Wednesdays would have been just something random that I enjoyed, maybe a behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, YouTube decided to start sharing my Star Trek alternate history for the Borg. I mean, just massively. Just completely and utterly massively. I mean, thousands upon thousands of people are watching it in a small sum of time. And what I decided to do, because of that, I started a new series, and I did it the very next day once I realized how many people were watching, and it was the Star Trek Dominion Wars series. The Star Trek Dominion Wars series made this channel. I would not be here without this, without that series. And I would suggest anyone, like it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're a political channel, if you're basket weaving, if YouTube decides to share one of your videos by the thousands, the next day do a video that is similar to it, but not exactly. No Stripe 361, and now it's owned by CBS. Yeah, that's another story. That is just frustrating. That's another story completely. But yeah, it is now owned by CBS. I'm redoing that entire series in a year, and I'm going to address the things I messed up on and things, so I'm looking forward to that, and just so they don't get a dime of it. Oh my god, I can't. I hope Disney buys Star Trek. No Stripe 361, from what you said about listening to your audience reminds me a lot of what you had to do with online writing. For me, the interaction with the audience has been key and pivotal. You don't have to do it with all channels, but honestly, I try to reply to every comment. I've gotten to a point. I've gotten to a point where I can't reply to every comment, and if I go like 2 hours without responding, it starts to back up, and I hate that. But I try to respond to every comment that I get, and I will always have live videos, live streams where I get to talk to you guys. And again, I'm going to actually be doing a call-in. I'm going to try a call-in series where on the Geek Breakdown, you guys get to call in and just chat with me. And I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be fun, hopefully. So, the Dominion War series made it, and that was all because the Borg video went live. And ever since then, I have been a Trek channel. Even though I will always, to my dying day, claim to be a lore channel, but you got to dance with the one that brought you to. So if, let's say, you do a political channel, and you're crazy liberal, and you enjoy doing all kinds of liberal things, but what people what people come to the channel to watch is when you do movie breakdowns from a liberal perspective. Now, you like talking about how Trump sucks. You like talking about how Sanders is going to be the best in the world. Those get 20 to 30, views. But when you do a breakdown of The Last Jedi, that gets 200 or 300 views, and people love a liberal perspective on it. That's your audience. That's your claim to fame. If you don't want that, don't do it. Don't do something you don't want to do. But if people are responding to a certain series, then go with it and build on it and find ways to do that, but bring in the other stuff. Don't get me wrong. Don't ever do something just because it gets you views or it gets you subscribers. You won't do it for long and you won't succeed. Especially if you're doing this for money or you want to make this a career. You won't. But if there's like, and again, myself, Trek. I love Trek. I love doing Trek. I love doing lore on Trek. But it's not just Trek. I love Battlestar Galactica. I love Star Wars. Star Wars was bigger than Trek for me for a while. There's this show that got canceled that I hate that it got canceled. It's called Incorporated. It's INC. It was a sci-fi. I love that stuff. I can only do that stuff ever so often because it's not what my audience necessarily wants. But I don't mind doing nothing but Trek. I'm just going to continue to filter in other things and build them up while I'm still doing the Trek, if that makes any sense. Jordan Sullivan, as long as you're here, it's always a party, buddy. Don't worry about being late. Let's see. I'm sorry if you had any questions I missed them. Re-ask them if you want. Is Anti-Trekker by any chance going to be in your chat section? I don't know if he is. How do you keep yourself excited about the subject of sci-fi? Asked Marlinda Fish. I'm naturally that way. And that's what I'm saying. I love Trek. I love sci-fi. It's fun for me. I enjoy the hell out of it. I'm passionate about it. This is a job. I work 40 to 70 hours every week, but I don't necessarily work an hour. I don't necessarily work at all because I'm doing what I love. Rodby, this is not going to be one that maybe towards the end we can do some Trek, but I'm not going to engage it right now. You can go to the War Crime video and talk there if you want, but not for right now. Have you thought of linking Trek articles to non-Trek articles? Asked Corey 2000. I don't necessarily understand what you're saying, unless you're saying building upon ideas. I've seen people do that and enjoy that and be successful. And if you can do that, then yeah, I haven't personally thought about it. What do you think about Anti-Trekker's vid about YouTube and Google screwing him out of chump change? A multi-billion-dollar corporation stealing from you guys is despicable. I don't think in the case of YouTube, it is a multi-billion-dollar company stealing. I think that they have every right to decide what videos are monetized and what videos are not. I will agree with him that I think they're being hypocritical. I don't think they're necessarily being as upfront as they could be. Anti-Trekker, in my opinion, does have a libertarian or conservative bent, and I do notice that because he does, he gets demonetized a lot easier than I do. I've seen his video. If you guys haven't seen it, go to the Anti-Trekker. It's his most recent video. It says like an honest opinion with Google or Google Exchange. He talks about an interaction he had with a Google customer care representative. I understand his frustration. I don't necessarily think that Google is in the wrong necessarily in what they're doing, but I can see why it's frustrating. And that's my opinion. Probably not a popular one. So, going completely forward, and if you guys have got any follow-up with that, or you want to tell me I'm horrible or you've unsubscribed, I definitely understand. I'm not for everybody. Ultimately, though, I don't want to get people down. You should just do it. If you want to do a YouTube channel, you lose nothing by creating a channel and putting some videos up. Though I will say this. There are videos out there that if you looked real hard, that you could find and that are completely embarrassing to me. If you have not done YouTube or done anything on the internet, please think about what you're going to do. Please think. And if someone wanted to try to use those videos against me, because I'm sure once I get to a certain standard, someone's going to try to find videos just to embarrass me. And it's not going to really work that well. I'm going to be like, yeah, I was an idiot. Okay, so keep it moving. But I would but just as an example, there was a time when my thought in doing it was an attempt to use the absurdum fallacy to do something to an extreme to show how stupid it is. And what I did is, with my shirt off, I jumped up and down, back and forth, talking about, and I forget exactly what it was, how God hated video games and you're going to hell for playing video games. I did it to an extreme. And that was to try to show that this is really stupid when you think about it. I wish to God I had never done anything like that. But it is what it is. It's out there. Someone will find it, I'm sure. I'm not really worried about it. Again, I just say, yeah, I've done stupid. Congratulations. I'm human. Woo, you want to come on? We'll talk about it. No Stripe 361. I hate when a sci-fi series get canceled right when it gets good, exciting, like Star Trek Enterprise. I can agree with that. Corey 2000, for example, talking about articles to non-articles. Doing an article on Trek wormholes, then gate wormholes or other sci-fi wormholes. I tell you what channels do. First, before I answer that, Captain Jesse 1, Lore Reloaded, would you consider doing more early live streams like 9 p.m. Eastern? I do lore in the past, which is morning CST, like 11 a.m., and I'll try to do these earlier. I can definitely try that. What was I talking about? Oh, so I've seen channels where they take something like from Star Trek. They're like Star Trek wormholes, like you said, and then they compare it to real wormholes. It's actually a science channel. That's a great idea. I love channels that do that. Honestly, I'm not condoning most of his videos or what he does, but Naked Ape, who's very controversial, I wouldn't suggest listening to him if you say the word safe space unironically. Don't watch Naked Ape. He said, I forget exactly, he said, in order to make it on YouTube, you have to either be entertaining, informational, or radical, at least two of those three. And I would honestly somewhat agree with it. I think in Sci-Fi Debris, SF Debris actually said you need to be entertaining, informational, or something else that wasn't like that. But I would agree. You need to combine stuff. You need to be entertaining, or you need to be informational, or you need to be radical to be successful. And whatever you do it just as good as you can. Corey 2000, we all do stupid things, and now with the net, we'll never live them down. Absolutely. Again, here's my thing. If you find the video and you try to use it against me, I don't care. If you were to bring it up on a YouTube channel or do it in Twitter, I'm just going to share it and say, hey, you want to see stupid? Look what I did back in the day. So you can't really use it against me. But they are things that I would prefer not to do, and I would suggest anyone not to do them. Now, one thing I've been talking about that, and these are the last couple of things. So if you guys have any questions or you want to do some Trek or sci-fi stuff, we can get into that. When it comes to doing things outside of YouTube to make money, I would not suggest getting into Patreon until... This is just my opinion. I've seen people do this without getting there and be successful. But for me, I would suggest not doing it until you have 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers. And then don't expect to make any money off of it. I think that it is a turnoff for a channel with 100 subscribers to have a patron. I think that I think it hurts the channel. I do. Now, again, I could be wrong. If you have one, I'm not saying you're in the wrong. I'm just giving my opinion on it. I started a Patreon pretty early. I regret that. I should have started at about 10,000. Now that I'm getting to 17,000, it's starting to build a little bit, and I'm able to offer things that I wasn't able to. But I do think that it looks bad if you have a patron at 100, 150, even 1,000 subscribers. Now, if you do, don't take it bad. This is just my opinion. I've been wrong in the past. But that's my 2 cents on that. Where I do think it's at, and where I think it's fine to do, is for advertisers. Now, I've said before, and I'll say it now, I have never accepted money from an advertiser. I've never put anything on this channel that I got paid monetarily to do. That's not to say that I wouldn't do it. I'm not necessarily against it, but there would be huge caveats to it. If someone wanted to pay me to put their product on, we could have that conversation. But it would be in a contract that I could say anything that I want, and they would pay me to do it. If Star Trek, if Trek product came up and they said, "Hey, we want you to do this," then you got to have it in writing that I can say that I can lambast you, that I can make a video dedicated to the destruction of your product and your business. That is the agreement I have with every product, with everything I brought on. Eagle Moss, who I've talked with, understand that I'm going to be honest about it, and if I don't like it, I'm going to be honest about it. For instance, I don't like their board cube. I don't think it's put together very well done. But I do like most of their stuff. And so smaller channels that have advertisers that get paid to do it, I'm not against. I think that's how you should make your money if you're going to try to make money. But you got to know how to position yourself and get it. I wouldn't go to them until you're ready. But advertising at a smaller level is where it's at, in my opinion, versus Patreon, PayPal, things of that nature. Another thing is, and this is key, when you're wanting to deal with advertisers, one thing that I've learned is that if it's in the same genre, they all talk to each other. Eagle Mouse, Star Trek Online, WizKids, they all know each other. They all are good friends. And burning bridges in a bad way with one burns it with all of them. And so if you're a gaming channel and you're working with a dev, don't let them run over you, but do not go out of your way to piss them off either. Just be very professional, because one dev can talk to another. You'd be surprised. Again, I was a gaming channel, and I have a lot of contacts, both with indie devs and AAA, and they talk with each other too, and a bad experience with one can ruin the rest of it. So, that's about it, I guess. I mean, if anyone has any questions when you're watching this video on demand, let me know and I'll try to address it. Or if I can think of anything, I'll put it in the comments. But when it comes to creating YouTube channels specifically, and then we can talk some sci-fi, do you guys have any questions, any follow-ups, anything like that? Or shall we move on to the fun stuff that you guys enjoy? For instance, like Corey 2000. Well, before, Sci-Fi Sith Dan, how often do you check your website? I'm going to be doing updates on it and videos and giveaways daily. But for right now, I'm simply just working with it. It's in a construction zone. I mean, I work on it every day, but I still haven't put it up. J-Wig, Star Wars Explained is corporate sponsored, and I like their channel. I would agree. Star Wars Explained is a good example. There's nothing wrong with advertisers. I don't see why people get so pissed off about that. People got to make money, and there's no problem. There's nothing wrong. Lore, which Starfleet captain would you like to discover the Discworld? Lorca, Corey 2000, Lorca. Yeah, we'll do that, and then probably end it pretty shortly. It is time for Cisco's War Crimes Defense. So if you can help me understand why it's okay for him to use biochemical weapons against a populace of mostly civilians, though we'll just assume that every one of them is a combatant. If you can justify that for me, I would be very, very interested. No Stripe 361. Am I the only one who wants to see a sequel Stargate show based around the gate being public knowledge? Don't they have a? Don't they have one? Don't they have a sequel coming out? I don't know if it's the gate being public knowledge, but I thought they had a sequel coming out. Which captain isn't a war criminal? That would be. I don't think. I called Picard a war criminal. I said he committed treason. He'd be the closest to not being a war criminal, in my opinion. Okay, I'll take a look, Sci-Fi. Hopefully it went to me. Rodby rules. Oh, you've given this defense. We've talked about it. Okay, well, this was the defense. He used weapons which are only lethal to humans, thus opening the world for Cardassian resettlement. Sure. Here's what I want you to do, Rodby. Say this in your head or aloud. Change the word human to Jew and the word Cardassian to Muslim. And tell me if you're still okay with the sentence. And if you are, I'll concede the point. Hello again, says Rough Collies. I'm interested in the stream because of the fact that YouTube company making it harder to assume a YouTube. Yes, Stargate Origins is a prequel. Cool. You won't like some of the backlog then. Don't listen to some of the stuff I say in the past. I have not necessarily been as critical of YouTube as you'd like, Rough Collies. I'm pretty sure. Thus, Sisko's actions in the eyes of Starfleet were not too bad, as the Cardassians and Maquis colonists just switched planets. Thus, the United States' actions in the eyes of the U.S. military were not too bad, as the insert the word Jew and insert the word Muslim colonists just switched cities. How did you start out on YouTube? Started out, well, I've talked about this. I don't mind going back. I would suggest watching it from the beginning because I discussed that. I started on YouTube because a user named Happy Cabby, and before pre-creepy Happy Cabby, did a April Fool's video, and he got me into it. And I've been doing it for 10 years. Sisko's actions were blessed by Starfleet, therefore he's no war criminal. The United States absolutely blessed the, I don't know. Choose anything that occurred. Choose any war crime. The United States blessed that action. Therefore, it's not a war crime. It's only seemed to be a war crime if you are caught, says Corey 2000. He did it over public comms. He used a biochemical weapon that you can go and look at. He ordered Starfleet officers to do it. Scans can show that it was fired by a Starfleet ship, and when he gets back to base, he is going to be one less torpedo. But he was never caught. No stripe. You know, I'll do a Geek breakdown. For those who want to do this, lore in the past, I'm going to do a lore in the past tomorrow. I'll let you guys debate me on Sisko's, is Sisko a war criminal? We can have that discussion. It'll be early tomorrow morning, Central Standard Time. But what you just said, what was it? History is written by the victors. Okay. The Soviet... Okay. Rodby rules, I'm not going to read that on stream. But I would agree with you that they could get away with stuff like that and it be horrific. Just like Sisko got away with doing something horrific and got away with it. I still think he is a war criminal, but they gave a legal out. It's not legal. Nazi Germany ordered tons of things. Nazi Germany ordered the Holocaust. Nazi Germany ordered the destruction of cities. The Allies ordered the destruction of populated cities. I know. Look. I'm a patriot through and through, but we did not hit we did not attack Nagasaki and the other city only for any military targets. We did it knowing there were civilians there, and we knew we were going to kill a lot of people, and we attacked it because of weather and because it was convenient. Just because someone says that it's okay, just because you're given the order, does not make it a lawful order. And it was not total war when Sisko did it. They were not at total war with the Maquis. They were dealing with terrorists. They were not at total war with Cardassia. You can't even use total war justification. Okinawa and Nagasaki. Yes. Okinawa and Nagasaki. No, it was Hiroshima. Nagasaki and Hiroshima. God, why do you guys get me confused? Nagasaki and Hiroshima had huge civilian populations. And we had options for better military targets. And we chose not to do it based on weather, and we chose not to do it because it would have not been as effective. I'm not going to debate it with you guys. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. I would suggest anyone who's watching this stream to go and actually watch it. And Cisco doing it and Starfleet being okay with it. By the way, don't even get me into Starfleet being okay with it, especially since it wasn't pre-approved, especially since we're not in the Dominion War. Does not make him a saint. It does not make it legal. Rough Collies Rock. Have you ever wanted to write a Star Trek novel? Is it hard to because of having writing already established characters and not making totally original characters? When I do the what ifs, that's kind of like writing a short story. I don't want to do it because I don't want to deal with CBS and Paramount. I wouldn't be against doing fan fiction like that. But honestly, I just like being an entertainer. I enjoy doing this stuff. I enjoy doing what if. I don't want to necessarily write a book. I would love to be invited to be on like a fan fiction, or to be someone to ask me to help them with a fan fiction they're doing, like a big production. It would be really cool. It'll never happen. I'd love Star Trek Online to let me have like a character that I could do some voice acting for. Never going to happen. Those are things I would enjoy. I just don't think that it's going to happen. Mr. Londell J, it is surprising to me in the extreme that you and I don't agree on something, sir. Never happens. Never happens. I think Starfleet used the fact that the both populations were able to swap planets as a way of saying, well, no harm real done. I think it was just bad writing, but I mean, yeah, okay. The problem is if the people in charge of the law care, and if they're the big dogs. I mean, one of the reasons he got away with it is what are the Cardassians going to do? What are the Maquis going to do? The Federation, this was pre-Dominion, so the Federation is the big dog on campus. Starting a fight with them is only going to be more trouble than it's worth. They can do stuff like that and get away with it. Sci-Fi Sith Dan, to defeat a terrifying enemy, we would need to become somewhat like them. I don't disagree with that. I don't, in fact, disagree with Total War. Just because I sit here and say that the Allies did some horrific things, like Nagasaki, like Hiroshima, or, you know, there was stuff before that. There was a lot of things the Allies did. The Allies, what the Nazis would do is they put bases between cities that are industrial centers. And the Allies would bomb the living hell out of these industrial centers, which is nothing but civilian populations. This is total war. Sometimes you got to do things that are just required. Like Section 31. I completely understand Section 31. I completely understand why every level of Starfleet let Section 31 commit genocide. We're at a war that we could lose. I get that. I'm just trying to make a point, because someone said that as someone inferred that it's legal because Starfleet says it's legal. That's not how things work. It's just not. No Stripe 361. How would you define the minefield across the wormhole? They weren't at war yet, but still mined what was basically the universal interstate. Would that be a war crime? I want to say no. That would not be a war crime, but I couldn't tell you why. I'd have to think on that. Let me ask you this. If trying to think, you know, I try not to get into politics, real world politics, simply because it's not worth my time. People get mad, leave, really, when I just want to be a Trek lore channel. But if we Okay, let me ask this. Not that it's right, and I don't want to get into the politics of if we should. So let's remove ethics. Let's remove morality. Let's remove if even it would technically work. If the United States actually did build a wall between the United States and Mexico, and they put armed guards there to defend their territory, would that be something they could legally do on their own territory? If the answer is yes, then I would say that the mining of the wormhole in Bajoran territory is technically legal and is not a war crime. IG Alex, hey Lord, greetings from the freezing snowy north of England. What's going on? Wish you had snow here. I love the snow. Rough Collies Rock. Why can't we write original characters in Star Trek novels and have to write characters that are already well known? Plus, you can't really take them in a new direction. We need creative freedom. I agree. It's just CBS hates fan fiction. They hate anything that they can't make money off of. But yeah, I would be very interested. Jay Wigg says building walls has always led to the downfall of civilizations. That is not what I'm asking. I don't care if it's the downfall of civilizations. I don't care if it's moral. I don't care if it's I don't care if it is the right thing to do. Is it legal? Is it legal to do that? If it's legal to do that, in my opinion, it's the same thing as mining the wormhole. If it's not legal to do that, if it's something they can't or shouldn't do, then we have another conversation. And it's not apples to apples. And so the reason why I'm continuing with this too, Rodby, I don't necessarily completely mind it. The reason I'm still having this conversation is because it is somewhat lore related. I don't mind necessarily comparing it when we're still talking about lore. But, I mean, if you guys want to move away, I'm going to be on for a couple more minutes. We can do whatever you want to do. Tomorrow, I will be choosing from comments somebody who will win a Galaxy Class Eagle Moss collectible, and on the Patreon, you'll win a Sovereign. Oh, I'm doing here's something that I can show you guys too. I'm kind of excited about. So for this month, any patron who's a patron this month is going to get a special T-shirt. I'm only ever going to make this once, and it's $1 or more. And this isn't the exact one. This is just the rough draft. I'm gonna have someone actually draw this, so it's actually legal for me to do. But this is going to be a shirt that I'm going to be sending to all my patrons for this month that I'm excited about. Now I'm going to be doing more merchandise, but I'm going to have the Oberth, and it's going to be like an anime style, and it'll have like a frowny face, and it'll say I'm just a war canoe on the back. I'll have the explosion that nobody loves me. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Romulan L, they have the best. That's just it, because everyone mentions it. Favorite Star Trek holodeck simulation? I don't know. Man. I tell you a game I love that reminds me of a holodeck. Is the old Star Trek Klingon Academy game and the Borg game, which was done by Delancey. And the games are live video, but oh my god, they are so much fun. Have you heard of the current battle for net neutrality, and what are we officially going to lose it in April unless someone can stop it? I've done a video on net neutrality that you can check. You're going to hate it because I don't have a strong opinion about net neutrality, unfortunately. I know people want me to jump on that bandwagon, but I've seen justifications for both sides, and I've lived in a world without it. So, yeah. Sinbad is on mobile. What is going on, brother? Romulan ale and Dorian ale, are they really so lacking for ideas that the race only has one drink on the whole planet? Here's something that'll bug you, since once you see it, you'll never not notice it. Two things that you'll watch when you watch Trek. One, the most races, especially in TNG and DS9, aren't diversified. The Federation and Starfleet have tons and dozens of different ships, whereas the other races, like the Romulans, only have one. And that really doesn't change until the movies. And then they have, like, what, 2 or 3. But you only ever see the one. And in space, and I'm sorry that you caught a cold, my brother, you need to get better. Go to a hospital or lay down or something. And the second thing, in 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional space, they can come from any way. Space isn't a 2-dimensional grid. But almost every time, ships come together like this. Technically, they should be all over the place, right? They should be up here, down here. They should come in like this. But every time, when you're watching it, they face each other. Makes no sense in a 3-dimensional or 4-dimensional plane. We don't see the other types of ships the other races have. So when they're in a major all-out war, they only send the ships we know. I've had the idea that in sci-fi, it may be natural for most races to have one culture be a planet of hats as the most powerful culture kind of takes over everything. I'd agree with that. Star Trek Continues has canceled. Star Trek Continues will not be making any more videos. This will probably be one of the last ones I answer. And again, this might be something most people won't get too excited about. How did Star Trek Continues make all those episodes, but Axanar gets shut down? Let me start this by saying I love Prelude to Axanar. I really wish that we could have seen how Peters was going to do the rest of it. I think it's excellently written. Axanar did a lot of things they shouldn't have, and CBS had absolutely every right to shut it down. They created Prelude to Axanar to make money, to build their own studio, to do their own properties. They sold... It wasn't just derivative. It was so close. It was a clone. They sold ships. They sold all kinds of things. And they made millions of dollars doing this. CBS had every right to shut them down. CBS overreacted when they then said that they came out with these rules that you have to do, these guidelines. That destroyed most other professional fan fiction for Star Trek. Now, I don't know how I feel about professional Star Trek fan fiction anyway, because I do think that it's very close to the derivative. But I think Axanar went too far, and I think that Star Trek Continues and others stayed in their lane and knew what not to do. I know a lot of people don't like that opinion. And I know that it's unpopular, but it's the honest to God truth. If I was CBS, in order to protect my copyright, seriously? In order to protect my copyright, I would have done the same thing. Can I break that? 1 second, guys. 1 second. Un momento. I cannot have those things next to me at all. It always ends badly. How'd it go? There it is. There's one piece of it. Dagnabbit. Was my Oberth class ship. Yeah, Alec Peters got mad and broke it. Of course, technically now it's in its natural state, right? Alright, guys, we're going to end on that one. I'm not going to have these things next to me again. I'm glad it wasn't this one. Take a look at this one. This one is, this one's pretty cool. I have a lot of problems with Discovery, but I think their ships are beautiful. Alright. Yeah, no loss. Well, I mean, it's now technically in the state it was supposed to be, destroyed. Alright, guys, hey, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching it. I do hope that this was helpful for you if you want to do a YouTube channel. Ultimately, if you want to do a YouTube channel, just do it. Go for it. If these opinions are good, help. If you like me doing stuff like this, let me know. Comment below. I'll do more like this, or I'll just stay in my lane and do sci-fi and Shrek when I go live. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.